Yeah, so what you see here is Weblate, which is the tool we use for open social translations. Um, this is the screen that you will first see if you go to translate.getopenssocial.com. You can log in using username and passwords. The Google login option is currently only available for Gorilla employees. If you ever forget your passwords, you can reset it yourself by filling out your email. For the demo today, I've set up a user that can translate French. So we'll use that to show you what's going on. If you log in for the first time, then you arrive on the dashboard. You have some useful shortcuts here already. As you can see, I don't have any watch translation set up currently. You can manage these in your user profile. If there are specific languages that you're interested in, such as French. You can also configure secondary languages. These are languages that you may be familiar with. Beside the standard interface language, you can use these as extra context to see how something was translated in a different language, figure out the translation that you want. There's some more references that you can take a look at. And you can also here change your username, name, email, change your password while you're logged in. And that's most of the interesting tabs from the user profile on the website. If we go back to the dashboards, where we arrive, we log in, then we can. We have 3 interesting shortcuts here. They're mostly divided from a technical standpoint. The contract modules are all the modules that are provided by the Drupal community. You have the core tab, which is the core Drupal system that we use, and the distribution, which are strings that are specific to Open Social. And we have the enterprise extensions here. And we will probably be using some of those depending on the platform. So these are the extensions that are available only for our enterprise users. I think the easiest way to find strings is to go to projects, into the Open Social project. You can also see them all here. You can use the search tab. If you found a string in Open Social that you want to translate, for example, comments, then you can search here. You can say, I want to search only in source strings because I know this is the English string, not translated. And once you've searched, then you arrive on the translation interface. The interface that you see here is for quick translations. So say I want to translate this comment list string, and I can click it. Click the actual string. And then you arrive on the regular translation interface. So there's a few things to see here. We have the source string here. You can give in the translation. You can also see them currently. Okay, let's go. Apply different routes. You can look at only French. Sorry for that. Try the same search again, but now we're limited to the French language, which will reach 2 languages. And then you see the same string here again. And now you can see that you're translating French. So we can fill out the translation here. I'm not going to do that at the moment because I honestly don't know enough French to translate this. You can also see a list of nearby strings. So these are strings that are nearby in the source codes. Unfortunately, Weblate doesn't have any idea of where strings are on the website. We do have the option of adding screenshots, so we're still looking into if there's an economical way for us to do that to help you in translating. But for now, the easiest way is to find the string in OpenSocial and use the search tool to find the particular string. If you find that there's an error in one of the source strings, then you can report it as a bug in Jira or I believe through Lilian. Or was it? Yeah. And then something that's useful to help us find it is to give us the source string location. That lets us know where the string is in the source code so that we can easily change it. Yeah, you can click through the search results here. If you want to translate a little bit faster, then you can also enable Zen mode. You can go through the list here. One thing you see that if you're outside of Zen mode is that you have a few options here for translating. So you can save directly, which will save the translation and make it available. You can also add a suggestion if you're not entirely sure about what the translation should be. Then it can be accepted by someone else, or you can skip it entirely if you don't have a suggestion. If you're working in Zen mode, then any translation you add is saved directly. So the suggest and skip options are not available there. If you're working with someone else, then you can also add comments. There's a few scopes, so you can either add a translation comment to discuss it with people that are also translating the same language, or you can add a comment to the source string itself, which, as it says here, can be used for suggestions for changing the English variant of the string. And if you've configured other languages, then you can also see those here. You can see the translations here. By default, it shows a few languages, but you can configure that in your profile. You can also see the history. There's been no translations yet, but you can see who changed the string to a different translation. I think that's the basics of it. I'm missing any important things.
Yeah, maybe you could show another example. So, for example, you use text of OpenSocial and then try to search it.
We can. Let's see. Let's grab an OpenSocial installation that we have. I think, that's a good one to show. So we have Robert Andrews posted here. I can also show you a bit about how placeholders work. So we're currently in the OpenSocial project, which means we search for all languages, but we're really only interested in French. So we first go to French and the OpenSocial. You can see that we're in the specific French. And we look for posted, look in the source string. Good thing here is to change the search type and substring. Always have to experiment a little bit with the search type. But yes, so then you see some source strings with markup here. So the one we're interested in here is simply the author has posted. So you see also that it provides you with some clickable buttons here. So I can say, okay, I want to already take over this piece of markup. And the thing in square brackets that you see here is called a token. It's used in various places in OpenSocial, and it will be replaced when the string is used by a certain value. So in this case, it's adding it's creating a link to the author of the message that has been posted. And you can see here as well that it's using the display name of the author as the text in the link. So it's important that these tokens are not translated, because then they will no longer work. So these are always just taken as is. let's say this, and then we make sure we can actually upload the HTML. It should complain about this. Let's add this suggestion, and you see it's automatically gone on to the next string in the search results. In this case, we just want to go back, and we can see here there's one suggestion. You can accept it, or accept and edit, or throw the suggestion away. In this case, let's edit it. And then we make sure that we close the HTML. And I'll leave it as suggestion for now, because I'm not sure it's correct. If you want to do it slightly more quickly, then you can also click the copy button here. You can see that it'll just copy all the text. That allows you to just change the parts that actually need to be translated. So in this case, it's everything that's outside of the tokens. So if you, let's see, what's the best way to get it? You went through languages, you go through French, you open the Open Social project. Let's say we're interested in strings that originate from Open Social itself, the distribution in this case. Then you come on this overview page, and there's also some useful string status checks here. One is, for example, a status check that says that source and translations do not both end with a full stop. So that means that either the source string has a full stop or the translation has a full stop, but the other does not. And that's something you can click on, and you will be brought to the string. So you can see here we can add the full stop and save it to make sure that both the translation and the source string are consistent. If we go back to the overview, then you can also see the check here, the translation is not valid XML. I think that's when, as you can see here, the translation where we're actually missing this closing tag. So Weblate demo has actually suggested how we can fix it. We can say, okay, you're right, we missed the closing tag here, so we accept it, and then we fix the translation. So if we would leave this in, then the display of the string would break on the page here. So that's why it's good to sometimes look at these checks. There's another kind of placeholder, which is not, this is not a token, but this occurs, for example, in strings that can be both singular and plural. So you actually see here that the source string is incorrect. So I'll note this down for myself. Because the members here for the plural version should obviously have an S. But this allows you to translate strings that have different forms, and you want to keep the count placeholder. This can either be prefixed with an @ as you see here, or with a percentage sign. But they should always match what is in the source string. Otherwise, the count will no longer be properly replaced with the actual number that's determined by Open Social. So the only strings that you would be able to translate here would be member and is selected. And the same goes then for the plural variant. French, you can see that there's only two forms of plural, so it's either n is 1 or 0 or n is larger than 1. I do believe that, for example, Russian has more forms. I'm actually not sure how that looks in Weblate, so let's find out. Russian. Search. And then you see here that you have multiple options to translate. And you can also see below the equation that's used to figure out which one is used when. If you click on the question mark, you go to the documentation. But I assume this will make more sense for Russian speakers. Okay, so this is an example of another placeholder where the percentage sign is used. And here you can also see that part of the string is translated, but not the placeholder. And whether a percentage sign or an @ sign is used, that's actually determined by a developer, depending on what functionality they need when the string is being replaced. So that's not really related to translation. What you can see here, now I'm looking at Russian, is that since I'm logged in as a demo user that has access to the French language, is that I cannot save or suggest Russian translations. So I'm only able to translate the language that I've been given access to. If you do find that you need to translate other languages as well, then please contact us through Jira.
More that you would like to show, or maybe
one more thing. I'm not sure but I can come up with. No. Okay, so something you see here on the right is the glossary. This can be used to add certain strings that you want to translate always in a similar fashion. So, for example, certain words like comment or person or job, you can add the words to the glossary with the recommended translation. And when Weblate detects that this string is in the translation, then it'll show these as help on the right side here. I can't show you how to add words at the moment because I see I haven't given the groups access yet, so I will do that after this meeting. So maybe I can quickly show you on my own accounts. Want to do this to Dutch because I know that there's some strings in there. So as you can see here, for the comment, we've added 2. So we have a normal comment, which is the noun, like a comment has been posted, then we translate it to opmerking, or if it's an action to perform, like you want to comment, then we use a different word. So we can add words here by adding a source and translation. or you can click it here and view all the words. And you can edit, delete, and add new words. And I will make sure that the NROs get access to the glossary for the languages that they can translate. So I think that's useful. And I think that's about it that I have to show today. So I think that the checkbox that you'll use the most is the source string, which is the English source that defines what will be translated. If you're trying to find, like based on the language that you're translating to, then you would use the target string. I think for ease of use, they're selected both by default, but you can just uncheck one. So if you wanted to check strings that contain a certain German word, then you would search in the target strings. The context strings, I realize I haven't shown it, but context is sometimes added by developers when a word, such as comment, for example, can be ambiguous because it may be used both as an object and an action. So then we'll add some context to indicate how the word is used. And if you were to search in context strings, I think button is one of the contexts that we use. Then you can see here there's a comment and a post as well. It can be both a post in the stream as the object, or you can click the button that says post as an action. Then you can see the context is here. It's a post button. So this would be the action. We're still discussing the best way to work this context, but this is where you'd see it. So if you select the context strings in the search, then that's what you would search in. The location strings, location refers to the file name and path that a string is located in. So I can imagine that you won't really use that, but it may be useful for developers. And comment strings are searching, I think, in the comments that have been added to translations. So those are the checkboxes. So you can also see here that there's a search filter where you can select some of the states that strings can be in. So, for example, if you want to search only for strings that haven't been translated with a certain word in the source, then that's possible. If you want to refuse strings that have been translated, Weblate may sometimes mark strings as needing action. For example, for these checks that it did automatically. If you want to look at strings that have suggestions by other users, then these are all possibilities that you can limit your search to. You can also search for strings that have been changed by a certain user or changed after a certain date, or maybe don't show results for a certain user because you know that their translations are always great. And I'm not sure what the language does in this case, because I thought we were searching in German. So that would indeed show no results. Then go to German. So the language field in the search is more useful if you haven't already selected a language, as you can see here. Then you can limit your results to certain languages. And if you select nothing, then in this case it's searching within the German translations in the Open Social project. So it'll automatically only give you German results. Let's say you hadn't selected a language, then it would show you results for all languages.